What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video. The subject being the Trans Am behind me. I've got some StopTech brakes and Hawks pads to put on this car. Ironically, since the last video describing how this Dodge Ram behind me is the most unreliable vehicle I've ever owned, the fuel pump died. So today, I'm going to keep this really brief. It's not how to install a fuel pump, but I'll put a couple clips of putting that in this thing. Hopefully it's going to take a few hours, because of course it's 3/4 full of fuel. And all I got is a floor jack. So we'll get right into the installation. Here's a little bit of a time lapse of that, and we'll get into the meat of it after a couple minutes, and it's going to be about the Trans Am. So here's a little bit of the truck, and we'll see you in a little bit. That's gonna about do it for this little install. The fuel pump, that was a real pain in the ass. I was kind of surprised at how tough that was actually to get it all back together. Anyways, I guess we'll get moving on to the Trans Am on day 2. Alright, so now that the truck is pretty much taken care of, nothing's gone wrong for it in the last couple days. I had it on a battery charger, kind of reconditioned the battery and stuff like that, so trying to hobble that thing along because I've got another project going on that I really need the truck for. But we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of today's video. That's putting on the Hawks High Performance 5.0 street pads, as well as the StopTech Sport slotted rotors. Now here's the part numbers. These would be the front rotors, are a little bit larger, so here's the part number for the front that I ended up ordering. Left and right. Here's the rear. Left and right. And here are the Hawks pads. I forget which is the front and rear. I'll put a little annotation below, but here's the part number for either the front or the rear. I forget which it is off the top of my head. They're in the same size box. So I'll open this stuff up and give you a quick view of what it's like. If you've done a brake job before, this is going to be a straight bolt-on kit. It's going to be nothing crazy. It's something you can do in your driveway or in your garage. It's going to be very easy to install. It's OEM size stuff, but it's higher quality stuff. So let me get this rotor out here. We'll snap back to it with it open in 1 second here. And there you have it. There's the front left or front, I believe it'd be the driver's side brake rotor. It's a very nice finish on it. The machining is really good on it. The black hat is very nice on it. The finish is really good. It looks like it's a pretty good finish. The venting is all coated as well. So this rotor should last a while. I'm not going to be very hard on it, as most of the driving that I do is on the street. So I opted for the slotted rotors over the blank, which is going to give you the best braking bite and braking surface to brake on, because there's the most surface area. And I did get these over the, I guess, popular drilled style rotor with the holes in it like I had on the Corvette. They do look nice, but they do have a tendency to crack along the holes over heavy braking. When the brake rotors get extremely hot, they're prone to that. So in my head, this is going to be happy medium. The slots should scrub the pad and allow for a little bit better off-gassing of the pads, which is, in my opinion, after doing some reading on LS1Tech and other websites or various websites that are more specific to autocrossing and stuff, in my opinion, a slotted rotor and a decent pad is going to be a good happy medium for everything. And this does have a better aesthetic, in my opinion, than just a blank disc. So that's pretty much the biggest reason. I would never notice a difference driving a, I guess, a slotted disc versus a blank disc or a drilled and slotted. I'm not a professional driver, so most people will tell you, and they would be right by saying that a blank pad is the correct, or that a blank rotor is the right way to go. Look at the air-motive industry, F1 racing, they're all blank pads. It's for a reason. So, car's been under the cover for a little while. Get her all peeled back here. Front's still up in the air, and one of the big reasons I'm going to change it is not for any of the front braking components. The fronts are okay. These did flash rust, so I think they're going to be a little bit more inexpensive of a material or a cheaper replacement than I'm putting on there. but the rears actually have rusting and pitting, and some of the edges, like up in this area, are chipping off. So when you get to the rear, you'll see some of that. It's really the big reason. The pads that are on this are nothing spectacular, so this should be a really good bang for the buck upgrade. A lot of people tell you to do a C6 Z06 or a C5 Z06 or a CTSV brake upgrade, but you're talking a lot more money than just doing an OEM size pad and rotor. And this is going to be more budget conscious because I only have so much money to put into the car, like many people. So again, car's already up in there. Jack stands are under it just like it was last time. I'm going to start by taking off this side, and we'll just come back when I have the new pad and rotor on. So we'll have to do a time lapse, and we'll see you in a little bit.
So I'll be there. Never leaving you in the darkness, even when you're out of focus. I will be the light in your life, you'll see it clear. I'll be
Alright, so about 10 minutes in, we got the first side off. First driver's front, caliper, rotor, caliper bracket, and everything off. 4 bolts peeled all apart, minus the lug nuts, obviously. 2 12mm bolts hold the caliper, the brake caliper here, to the caliper bracket, and 2 larger 18mm bolts. These are 18mm metric head bolts. They hold the caliper bracket to the, I guess it would be the spindle, right? The spindle for the front control arm. So, yeah, I'm gonna get this hub surface all cleaned up. Put a little bit of brake cleaner on it. I've got a Scotch-Brite pad, so a little bit of elbow grease is going to go a long ways. We'll toss the new rotor on. It's very important to pay attention to which rotor goes where, because the vanes here and the exhaust vanes inside, the heat exhaust vanes, they are directional. So there's a left and a right. I'm going to verify real quick which side is which, but I'm assuming left is the driver's side. So we'll hop back to another time lapse, and we'll get this surface cleaned up and ready for installation of the new rotor. So far, the one thing to note is that there is a little bit of a difference on the driver and passenger side inner brake pad. There's a little tang on it. This is the driver's side inside pad, so that little tang is going to go inboard like it would be on the car and up. So on the car, it's going to go like this on the inside behind the rotor, obviously. So that's one thing I just had to match up to the old one. Pay attention to that. The outside one is blank, so that one wasn't anything to pay attention to too much. But got everything all lubed up. Going to put the wheel back on this side, hop over to the other side, bring the front of the car down, and we'll move on to the back. concludes the installation of the StopTech slotted rotors and the Hawks High Performance Street 5.0 pads. Some people may be triggered at this point, as you should be, because I was too. When you look at the rotation of the vanes on that, or what would be the slots on the rotors, they look like they're backwards, but they're not. According to the installation, that is the proper rotation, that is the proper orientation for them, and the part numbers do match up to that. So if you want, this is on StopTech's website, you can read all about it, and you are able to reverse them if the vanes on the right-hand side, I believe, if they are straight from the hub center to the outside of the rotor, you can reverse them for aesthetic reasons. But in this case, that's how they're supposed to be installed, so that is correct. If you second guess yourself, that's the way that StopTech tells you to install them in a couple of different areas. So we're gonna move on to the back now. We get the rear of the car up real quick. It's gonna take a couple minutes. The rears are gonna take about half as long as the fronts. I'm not gonna dwell on a lot of the stuff. I went over most of the information about installing rotors on the front of the car. So the rear I'm just gonna kind of glaze over, and we're gonna finish up today's video. Well, that's gonna about do it for today's video. Hope it didn't get too redundant. The brake job isn't really the most interesting thing in the world to watch, but maybe it was fun to watch the build series. I don't know. So we do have a little bit better weather coming. The winter is actually breaking a little bit right now, and the snow's starting to melt. It's been in the 30s and up to almost 40 degrees the last few days, so the sun's out and the snow's slowly starting to go away. So I'm hoping within the next month I'll have this out on the road sometime, maybe by April if it gets really nice out. It sucks that there's so much road salt up here in northern Minnesota, so you kind of run the risk of just ruining things if you go drive it before it rains once or twice. Kind of clears the roads out. Like I said in the video, I didn't even film the back passenger side, the rear passenger side brake job portion. It would just get redundant, and it's not terribly interesting to watch when you've seen it 3 times. I mean, it's hoping that the car is going to be a little bit better in the long run, but that's going to about do it for today's video. I might need to put a caliper on the front passenger side. I didn't explain it in the video, but there's 2 pistons on the front calipers on each side. They're 2 piston calipers, and one piston up there, the boot was kind of torn around it, and the piston itself was really hard to get reseated back in the caliper, like it was almost seized up. It didn't look terribly rusty or anything like that, so it just might need a caliper, and I will know more when I go do the break-in procedure on the new brake rotors and pads. So hopefully I'm about done using that snowblower, and I'm going to break out the lawnmower pretty soon. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing. There's going to be a lot of content with the Trans Am this summer. Hoping to go do some autocrossing with it, maybe do some drag racing. And anyways, I guess we'll see you next time.